Alrighty, what's up, guys? It's B here. Today it's March 5th, Wednesday. It's 8:45 p.m. here on the Pacific Coast, West Coast. I just want to do a quick review of today because today was a insane day, and I personally did not capitalize how I wanted to, but I think there was a lot of good opportunities. So let's just get straight into it. So, starting off the day, I love to use OR method, which is basically opening range breakout method. So, with this method, we're looking at our first 5 minute candle here. So, I use the 1 minute time frame and basically count out into that 9:35 range as market opens at 9:30. So, basically, charting with the horizontal line here as our top range breakout, and I marked that with a green horizontal line, and then our bottom range here, as we can see, with the red candle line. So basically, all we're doing with this method is just waiting for breakout and then waiting for retest. And basically, as we break out, we're waiting for price to hold here. And basically, once we see price hold and not break, it gives a strong kind of bias that buyers are in, and things are going on the upside, or in the inverse, if we see a breakout on the negative side and we can hold that bottom resistance level there, then we're going to see a lot of sellers come in. So today it gave us a few opportunities. Today we had to be very patient to get these opportunities, which I capitalized on a few, but then waited on, did not capitalize on all I needed to, which is all part of the learning game. One day it's not going to break the camel's back, but this was a great day to trade. So going into the first one, we can see a lot of choppy movement here. I mean, the morning started really choppy and all the way till 10 a.m. Basically, there's no true sign. As we see, we did see multiple breakouts, but nothing really hold. Here we thought we may hold, which I was waiting for another candle here. But as we see, I think market makers entered the room right at 10 a.m. and we see this crazy 1 minute wick candle, which was about a 4 point move there. So glad I didn't hop in there, and that's one thing I want you all to focus on as well as myself, is making sure this wick is fully front formed. Now on the 1 minute, you can see it was holding here, and I love to see when candles do this here, and basically they wick down, so it's closing still below our resistance there, or whichever range. If it's on the positive, we want to make sure it closes above our support here. On the bottom, if it's breaking below, we want to make sure it's holding this resistance. So market makers entered and we didn't see anything there, but then you saw as they entered, we had our retest here. And this is actually where I took my first trade here. As we see, basically they did come in and we retested our opening range here. The wicks did not close, so we were able to enter here a long position. I did a 2-to-1. And basically we saw there, so I entered there, and at this top was our basically 2 level here. And normally when I start to see some, I like to just take my gains. Don't try to be greedy. My bias was 583, as there was a huge, massive level. As if we're looking on the daily time frame, as we go all the way over, we can see. Excuse me, this is pretty low. 583 here is one of my main levels, as it has just multiple touches, multiple support levels here, multiple resistance previously, all the way back into 2024 in October. So I knew 583 was coming, but I didn't know when. So I actually ended up taking that first trade here, right? Quickly got out. I made my 2-to-1. Excuse me, as my chart's just going bananas. There we go. So I made my 2-to-1 here, sold. I actually kept a runner in case we did have the 583, which I should not have. I should have sold out there as we return. So that was my learning lesson for today. And then we see the same thing. We enter some more chop here, come all the way down, and I actually sold here, which if I honored my stop loss, which guys, make sure you always honor your stop loss. I did not honor my stop loss. We would have seen here. It's kind of hard to see in this red here, but as the candles came here, I should have stopped here, and I would have still been in profits, but I didn't. Then at this time, I went ahead and ate breakfast with my girl, and I actually at this moment here, as we entered chop, I entered a 583. As I said, that was my bias for end of the week. So I bought a 583 SPY call for the end of the week. And basically, right as that happened, we see our next lower breakout. Now, this was another area we could have scalped, but I did not, which I kind of fault myself for. This is, like I said, family time is important to me. So I really, really wanted to make sure I spend that time with my girlfriend. But as we wick down here, which could have been an easy position to short here, as we see, we get another breakout. We get a retest here, doesn't break that retest, and it comes all the way back. Like I said, I like to do a 2-for-1 at minimum. This was at a 2.5 target range. But as I have this trend line basically coming from, let's see, I think that blue trend line that we saw. Why is my charts being so just annoying? Excuse my messy charts, kind of do some crazy notations, but you can see this trend line here coming all the way from when we first started. I mean, it really just follows this trend line majorly here. And we actually hit that perfectly and had a bounce. So I actually got burned on those contracts and kind of did not have conviction in my 583 at the end of the day, which I should have. That was my learning lesson for today as well. Is just make sure we have conviction. But nonetheless, on this breakout and retest, you can see on the 5-minute candle that it broke here. I'll go to 1 minute so you can see a little bit better. Excuse my computer, man. Sometimes, man, Webull, it acts up. I love Webull. I know a lot of people use TradingView. I started on Webull, so I've just kind of stayed here. But as I said, we break that out here. We have a retest, does not break back through, so it gives bias that sellers are in play. And it drops here. So this is when I sold my 583s, which I should have been very high conviction in the 583s, as it's a major level and I had 2 days to expiry. But with everything going on, I was afraid of basically it getting swept out and we hitting a lower levels at 565s. But as we see on the previous day, and I have these range here, is the low and the high range. I always set those for previous day. There was basically a massive ask here and a massive holding resistance here, which I did not honor. And it also follows this trend line, as we see that it basically came there and bounced directly off. So if you were scalping, which, like I said, this is another beautiful setup here that you could have taken, which I did not. I just kind of take my gains and leave, like I said. But that was another buying opportunity, another 2-for-1. This one actually went to, I think, 2.5. That you could easily capitalize on, which I didn't. So after that, we see a huge step up and a lot of market makers coming. We get a lot of buy-in. And this is where I see we're creating this almost double bottom and creating this basically gap fill and liquidity answers back right there. So I sold the 583s, which I shouldn't have, because after we just see a bullish run. We see this breakout here, which would have been our last final buy. We see we're holding here, right, on the retest. This would have been my first. I actually probably would have sold here, but as you see, we retested again. And off of this second retest, I would have re-entered. And it's always easier to say hindsight, right, than it is at the start. But I definitely should have re-entered here, and that's when we would have hit our 583 bias here, as we see it instantly went there. So today's a great day as far as possibilities. I actually ended the day negative with a P&L of negative. I think I lost like $179, which I should have profited because the 583 calls that I did buy ended up going up about 50% or almost 100%. I bought them at I think around average cost of 328, and last time I checked at the near the end of the day, they were around like 590. So, you win some, you lose some. Today was a good learning lesson more than anything. If you're getting better every day, you're not losing. Remember that. But so going in tomorrow, that's kind of what I'm looking at. We're gonna see if we can hold this level here. As you see on the fib retracement there, I have 581, and still that huge level here at 582, like 583 range. It's at 582.83, so we're using psychological numbers, which is always be whole numbers. So 583 was that big number, which you can see that's kind of where we closed at here. So going into the remainder of the week, if we can hold, now Friday we have unemployment, so that can be a big news, which I don't necessarily like to trade on news because it just skews data a little bit too much, and you never know which direction it could go. But sometimes it can be great opportunities. So my bias right now, which we play reactive, not predictive. If we hold here, I think we should get some rally back. I think we see 594 before we see some more bearish runs. I do overall think we're still in bearish. I think 550s is my next major level that it needs to hit here. 565 is also another major level. For me, 550s or 560s, excuse me, around there is our next key. But I think we have to see some retracement as it's been since, what is that? Since February, start of February, that we hit all-time highs, February 19th, and have just been absolutely regressing since then. So that's almost a full month of just straight red. So I do think we see a small rally here. I could be wrong, but we should see. If this holds, we definitely see a rally up. If we can hold this support here at 583 and go up, I think we see 596 next. If not, I think this is where we start to just get a supreme bear run. So stay tuned, guys. We'll see what happens there. But just wanted to give a quick recap, not for you all's sake, but also for my sake. I'm just kind of doing a daily journal. And yeah, we'll see what happens the following week.